Okay, so welcome to our Q&A with professionals in UCSD Alumni event, where we'll be having two very special guests and former CASA members to answer questions reflecting on their cultural, career, and personal experiences. But before we begin, I'd like to have Ethan talk about our Discord channel that we created recently that you should all join.
So yeah, basically we made a Discord channel. So I can send the link in the chat right now and you guys can join if you want. And we can also post it on Facebook later. Basically you can just come in to the Discord and we'll be posting events there in the future and having announcements. We have like a Q&A section. We have study rooms that you can just chill in, and there's also gaming rooms, so you can just hang out with other people there or study in there. So yeah, basically you can join for just join it.
All right, thanks, Ethan. Now we'll have Lauren talk about and introduce our guests.
All right, how you guys doing? So you guys have probably all seen the flyers already and read up on all the bios and all that. But for today, besides our amazing alumni speakers, we also have Matt Doe and Virisa Young. And forgive me if I said that wrong, I'm horrible. But I really appreciate you guys being here because these two individuals are so amazing and you guys don't know how lucky you guys are to have them here with all of their experience and all of their knowledge and just being able to talk with us here like this. They are going to say a couple of things to give us a little bit more background information on them. So if you guys want to go ahead and introduce yourselves, Matt and Virisa, whoever would like to go first, go ahead.
Yeah, I guess I can start. So thanks for having me. Thanks for having me, everyone. Like Lauren mentioned before, my name is Matt, and I was born and raised in San Jose, California. Went to high school with Virisa as well. So shout out EVHS Cougars. So what I kind of do on the day-to-day is I work in recruiting for a cloud software company. Basically been doing that for a few years now, not necessarily at the same company, but recruiting per se in general. I graduated from San Jose State with a degree in human resources. And then I started as a recruiting coordinator when I graduated college, and then kind of worked my way up, to full life cycle recruiting. And it's a really great job. It's a really great profession right now. I really enjoy what I do on a day-to-day basis. I'm learning a lot about, the business, recruiting for all these different roles. And then when I'm not recruiting, I like to, shoot photos, shoot some video, just for fun. I'm nowhere near Verisa's level, like she'll explain a little bit later. But that's just some of my hobbies on what I like to do in my downtime. So that's just a little bit about me.
Hey guys, I'm Virisa, and I'm super excited to be here today. It's so awesome that you guys asked me to be here. A little bit about myself. I'm 24. I'm a freelance photographer from the Bay Area, and I went to school with Matt. I went to UV, so I'm currently based in Los Angeles, and I studied television, film, and media at Cal State LA. But instead of taking the TV and film route, I kind of just ended up focusing on event photography. So I mostly work in the music industry, and I shoot a lot of festivals, red carpets. But since this year has been pretty rough with the whole pandemic, I've just been working on other gigs with brands such as Puma, and working with artists one-on-one. So with that, I would just be shooting studio sessions or behind the scenes of music videos. And it's been dope. So I'm grateful to be able to still do what I love during this time.
All right, thank you for introducing yourselves, and thank you so much for being here as well. Really appreciate that you guys can make time in your schedule to be here with us. And I'll be introducing our alumni and former CASA members that'll be speaking as well. We have Alex Chen, who graduated with a degree in bioinformatics and a minor in business and was formerly our intern coordinator. We also have Stacia Chan, also class of 2020 with a degree in Physiology and Neuroscience, who was formerly our family chair. And Kenny Zhu, class of 2020 as well, with a degree in Data Science, and was formerly our treasurer. And they can go ahead and briefly introduce themselves as well.
Hey guys, yeah, so as Johnny said, I'm Alex. I graduated just this year. I majored in bioinformatics with a minor in business. So previously during college, I was working in research. I was first in the genetics lab, and then a little later on, I was working in immuno-oncology. And then I realized that pipetting is really boring. No offense to Stacia, if that's what you do. So right now, I moved over to a pharmaceutical development company where we're working on pushing a drug through clinical trials and CMC and things like that. But honestly, I'm getting kind of bored of that too. So right now I'm looking to get into more healthcare technology, data science, things like that.
Hi, I'm Stacia. Yeah, like what Johnny said, I graduated 2020 with Physiology and Neuroscience. It's good to be back in CASA, yay. I'm from Oakland, California, and then moved down here for college, and then just stayed here, yay. I work as a research associate at Kura Oncology, and we just do drug research and like test like drug development for targeted therapies. So yeah, it's a lot of pipetting, but I like it.
Hey guys, I'm Kenny. I'm sorry, my Zoom is like bugged out right now. I'll restart my computer after I introduce myself and come back on with my video on. But anyways, I graduated from UCSD as a data science major. I grew up in the Bay, and yeah, I came down here for college. So right now I work at VMware as a iOS developer, and yeah, it's pretty fun. It's pretty relaxing most of the time. So yeah.
Alrighty, thank you guys. Again, we are so glad you guys are here. Just to start off with the event, we do want to start off with a more general portion to ask questions for all of you guys. Yes, Katie, we will be waiting for you. So we are going to be asking a couple of questions that each of you, we'd like to ask each of you to answer. It can be in any order. We can even stay in the same order as to which you guys introduce yourselves, just so that we don't get any confusion in there. But the first question we wanted to ask, I believe Matt has actually made a video about this on his YouTube channel, is how do you guys organize your time and set your goals and just where your priorities lie? Honestly, like what makes you decide what your priorities are? And Matt, if you want to take in, please do.
All right, awesome. Yeah, so I've kind of started YouTube during the whole pandemic. It's kind of been on and off, but I'm trying to be more serious about it now, just to focus on things, you know, like recruiting, you know, personal and professional self-development, lifestyle stuff. But yeah, so really how I organize, you know, my time and kind of set my goals and whatnot. Something that I read recently was to have like a wellness plan. So basically a wellness plan is when you really just plan each and every single hour of the day. And it doesn't have to be just like meetings and stuff. Like on the calendar, it says like when I go to sleep, when I start my morning routine, eat breakfast, lunch, workout, things like that. It's very blocked by time. Now for work in particular, I just have like, so let's say from say like 7 a.m. To 8 a.m. is when I'll work out. 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. is when I'll do morning routine, which will consist of, you know, like brushing teeth, getting ready, eating a quick snack or breakfast. And then maybe I'll have like a little block for work. And that work block, it can be for 3 to 4 hours, you know, at a time. And that work block is going to be for me to just dive in and do work. What that work consists of, it can be what I do for my 9 to 5. It can be, you know, any other personal projects that I have going on. So that is just dedicated to work. And for any flexibility I have, you know, to jump into, you know, some like spontaneous call or something. And then I also plan when I have dinner, I also plan to, you know, take a walk after working all day, just to kind of get out of the house a little bit. So really that's kind of my wellness plan. That's kind of how I organize my time. I'm also reading, it's funny enough, I'm currently reading a book called Make Time. I haven't finished the whole thing yet, but I'm probably like 3 chapters in, and I'm really liking it so far. One of the things that immediately that they talk about is to have a highlight for the day. So basically writing down one thing you want to accomplish for that day. It can be anything you want, whether you want to write it physically, whether you want to write it you know, on an app or something. That's totally up to you. But just having that one highlight for the day, making sure you complete that so that, you know, you have that sense or feeling of accomplishment, and not, you know, beat yourself up and be like, oh, dang, I never got around to finishing whatever you had initially planned that day or the night before. So I try to set a highlight for the day. Right now I'm using sticky notes because that's what the book recommended, and I can just, you know, throw it away at the end of the day and then start a new highlight. So that's kind of how I organize my time. For setting goals, I don't really have a solid system yet for setting goals yet, personally. I write down my goals, you know, my New Year's resolutions on my, you know, project management application that I'm using right now, but I need to be better about actually checking it so that I'm staying on track of my goals. So that's something I personally need to work on. And yeah, that's kind of how I manage my time and my goals.
I think I need to follow what Matt does because my organization is all over the place over here. But you know, I actually write everything in a physical planner. I know a lot of people like to use their phones, but for me, I just like writing things down. I've always been doing that since like I was 14. So I like to write what I need to get done in one day. But I'm not really good with the workout part, so I'm gonna have to take that from Matt. So, but when it comes to setting goals, for me, one thing I like to do is research when a concert, festival, or whatever event that I want to photograph, and I just find out what day it is and what time it's at, and I would write that on the calendar part of my planner. Even if I'm not officially confirmed, I just like to do that to see like what is happening in 1 month, and then from there, I kind of just figure out, okay, well, how can I get into this show? Or like, are these 2 shows overlapping? I have to decide which one I want to do. And that's kind of like my way of like manifesting getting into these gigs. That's for me. Yeah, I kind of need to decide where I need to invest my time in when it comes to that. But most of the time, I just write everything in my planner and go from there, day by day.
Okay, so I honestly don't have any kind of good structure for goal setting or planning or anything, but I think my 2 cents on this topic is that when something is important to you and you really value it, you'll make time for it and you'll enjoy the time that you put into it. So, you know, if I'm recruiting for a job and it's a position that I'm really interested in, then, you know, the time I put into researching and practicing and interviewing and things like that don't feel like work. So it just, you know, like the time just kind of comes naturally, I guess. Um, so I guess, you know, if when you find things that you do enjoy doing and that hours just go by a lot faster, then that's kind of a way for you to identify whether you like something or not. You know, just kind of maybe it doesn't need to be said, but that's something that I found is works for me. Like if I enjoy doing something and I enjoy putting my time into it, then I know that that's what I want to be doing.
Yeah, I wish I could be like Matt, but I'm a really like just go with the flow kind of person. And I take it day by day. And for work though, I do have a calendar and just like plan everything out. But more for my like day-to-day life goals, I'm kind of just going with the flow. But if it is something important to me and like Alex said, like it would just come naturally and wouldn't feel like I had to like force it or anything. But yeah.
So I assume we're on the question about time setting and goals. For myself, usually time setting, all I do is, you know, do the most important things of the day first and don't do anything else until like you have those things done. And, you know, one of the things that I really love to do is play video games. But of course, that's like always at the end of my day, and I have to get through like all my errands and everything that I need to do on that day for work. When it comes to goals, yeah, I'm not really great at setting goals. I try to write them down and like break it down into like subtasks if they're like really important to me, but that's pretty much all I do.
Alrighty, thank you guys. I think Matt, you're gonna have to send us the link to your YouTube video. It sounds like I think we all need to take a page from your book.
Oh, no.
Also, okay, moving on to the next question. This one might be sounding a little bit weird. It's going to have a variety of different answers. It's all based on your own personal experience and majors, of course. But if there is one thing that benefited you the most during college, or one thing that you wish you had done that could have benefited you now, like maybe taking a specific class, or maybe doing more of this kind of training, or doing this in your free time, what would you say it would be?
For me, I think the most, and this might depend on, your major, but for me personally, since I graduated with, human resource, which kind of falls under business, I think the most important things that really benefited me were going to, career fairs, career centers. It's basically those events where companies send their, recruiting representatives to basically recruit you, the students, right? They kind of sell you on, the company, and really it's the ultimate place for you to network with these companies, practice your networking skills, and hey, maybe even have an opportunity if there's a good fit. It really just is a great opportunity for you to go out there, see what opportunities are out there. So, career fair, career centers, it's a chance for you to kind of learn about different employers in different industries. And then another thing I also kind of wish I did more was, join, more organizations and clubs that were more aligned with what I was studying. So I was in SHRM, which is Society of Human Resource Management. And they had a lot of events where they take SHRM students to basically on these company tours. You get to tour these really cool companies, especially, if you're in the Bay, you're touring all these cool tech companies. I never really got the chance to explore them and go to these company tours myself because it was usually a conflict of schedule. And once in a while, I was just feeling lazy because in my head, I was like, these tech companies are all generally the same and whatnot. But I really wish I did, go to those events, go to more events that are more professional events, not necessarily, social events are definitely good. It's a great chance for you to meet people, network as well, but more networking events, more professional events. I kind of wish, I went to. So that's just one key takeaway from college. If I could kind of do it all over again, definitely going to more professional networking events and opportunities.
I definitely have to say the same as Matt. I wish I went to a little more professional events where I could network with people, because I feel like meeting people is really important, and you can learn a lot from different people and how they work in their career paths. It doesn't really matter what career path you have. It's just like, how do you maneuver through what you want to do? But when it comes to like what classes I took, I actually really like taking psychology. I think it was interesting to learn about how people act in a certain way and like how we respond to the world, because I felt like for me, it made me think about how I should respond differently, maybe a little more patient with certain things, or, just see how I'm treating myself, my mental and everything. And another thing would be is that I don't know if they had culinary classes at my school, but that would have been really great to take because I did not learn how to cook when I was younger, and cup noodles can only feed you so much. So that's me.
Yeah, definitely agree with that, Marissa. Like those kind of professional events where you learn to like meet people and like make connections and just kind of like talking in a professional manner are super important, and I definitely wish I got into those earlier as well. But I'm honestly like, for me, it doesn't even have to
Sorry to
be.
interrupt you. I'm really, really sorry, but your mic is kind of like really distorted. Maybe you want to try turning it off and on. I think that would be good. Oh my God, he left. I'm sorry.
Dang, Lauren, you hurt his feelings.
I'm sorry. Why does this always happen whenever I talk to someone? I think he's on his way back though. Oh, hello. Hi, welcome back. I thought I
Oh, is it still me?
I think we're good now.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, so going back, it's like, honestly, it doesn't even have to be like professional events with like real companies and stuff. For me, I got a lot out of just going to like org recruitment events, professional frats and stuff, like going there and just talking to people, and like, even if you aren't that serious about joining or like aren't even that into the org, just talking to the people and meeting them and hearing what they have to say, I think is really insightful. And one thing that I always wonder a lot about is how people come into college and like immediately know what it is they want to do. Like, that blows my mind. Because like I came and I changed my majors like 4 times or something. So, going out and meeting people, I think, is like the best way to kind of figure out exactly what it is that you want to do, and learn more about different industries and different jobs and things. So yeah, definitely go out, meet people, talk to people.
Yeah, I agree with Alex. It's definitely like connections are kind of like the top. Like, it's like, I'm a very shy person, so it is hard for me to kind of meet people, but like I agree that it's like, it's not that it makes it or breaks it, but it's like definitely helps a lot in like trying to just figure out what you want to do, or even like getting jobs, internships, and all of that. For any of the bio students, if you are into research and development, I would recommend, I think the bio students they have to take either 2 4-unit labs or like 1 6-unit lab. And I would recommend, if you can, go to the 2 4 units, just so you can diversify which labs you want to take, and just, yeah, either go to like CRISPR genetic labs and just like figure out what you want to do, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I just have more of the same. Going to career fairs and all that, it's just super important. I remember as a first year, I went to the career fair and like I was really devastated because I would like wait in like 20, 30-minute lines. And then when I would get to the front, they'd be like, sorry, we're not taking first years. I'm like, oh my God, it's so sad. And that was like my entire day, like 5 hours of that. So, but it was like a really good experience because then I knew how everything worked. I was able to at least work on talking to some of these recruiters. And the next year I was able to get an internship through the career fair. So definitely building up the experience early on is really important.
Thank you guys. So what makes this a great thing for CASA is that we all kind of share the same cultural background, and there's always these stereotypes where our parents expect us like, hey, be a doctor, hey, be a lawyer. And so sometimes when we tell them what we want to do, there's some backlash. I'm not saying that happens to every person, but that does lead me to the question, if at all, how has your cultural background influenced your career path? And you take your time with this, like you guys don't have to go too deep, but we are a little curious.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And I think the pressure to kind of be something, like a doctor or a lawyer, that's the usual stereotype for, us Asians, right? Is because, if you think about our parents, our grandparents, a lot of them are immigrants, and, coming here to a new country, they really had to struggle to survive, right? So to them, the successful professions are doctors, lawyers, now more recently engineers is kind of what I'm seeing. And they just really kind of put that on us because they want us to be successful and not really have to struggle to survive. They want us to thrive. Compared to them, they want us to have a much better life than they ever did, right? Now, not, like Lauren said, not all families kind of instill that pressure on us. Many there's a lot of families that are very understanding and very supportive of whichever profession you want to go for. But I think really from my experience personally and from what I've seen in others as well, I think if you're able to show that whatever profession you want to pursue it makes you happy and it's stable and you can show your family that you're generating revenue and income from it, then I think really at the end of the day, that's what any parent would like for you. They don't want you to, suffer in a job that doesn't make you happy, even if it makes a ton of money, because, as we all know, money can't buy happiness, right? So for me personally, I never really got that pressure, yes, I kind of got nudged that way. I kind of got, hey, have you ever thought about this? I kind of got recommended that path, but I know for damn sure that I don't know anything really about, like the medical field. I'm terrible at it. So, I know business is kind of like my thing, and, it might not make as much as, other professions out there. But, I kind of tell my mom just what I do on a day-to-day basis, and I kind of show her, a little bit about my job and tell her about it and kind of show her, how stable it is, the fact that I was still able to, be a recruiter in a global pandemic when the unemployment rate is so high. It just really shows. And I would say in terms of, cultural background, I think there is a little influence. I think, our cultural background has kind of influenced our career choices to be, again, more on the stable side. We don't really, at least in my opinion, we don't really take risks in different fields or professions that we're not really familiar with. So we kind of want something safe and stable because, it'll always be there. But, as they say, no risk, no reward. And there's a lot of people who took risk out there and they are just killing it right now.
So I was raised by my grandparents, and they are probably the most strict Asians I ever know. But yeah, speaking on what Matt said, like a lot of us can relate that, being an engineer, being a doctor, and all that brings a lot of revenue. That's like great money. But for me, it wasn't really about the money. And I mean, I give props to people who can do those careers. For me, I just feel like it's not for everyone. And so my cultural background has honestly influenced me to take just the most unconventional route. And I wanted to be, I guess, rebellious against my grandparents in a way, to show them that like you don't have to pick those traditional careers to be successful. And I think just my drive and wanting to prove to them that like being a creative or being something that's really different can still be beneficial, because I think after them nagging me so much about being a doctor and all that, and them seeing that I really wasn't happy, I think when they finally saw that I got into photography and I got into something that I'm truly passionate about, they started to understand a little more and become more open. So I think that's something I would, if you are having an issue with your parents or feeling like you can't come out to them and tell them you don't want to do what they want you to do, it's like, to me, it's like, well, your choices, you're going to live with your choices. So that's what I have to say.
Alex, your mic is still off.
Okay, so I grew up in a family where my parents never really pressured me into like becoming a lawyer or a doctor or anything like that. They definitely kind of had my own best interests at heart, which I'm really grateful for. But at the same time, it was kind of an Asian family still, where the STEM areas were more highly valued, and they didn't put a lot of time into exposing me to liberal arts or things like that. And so, I went into the sciences, I guess, probably as a result of that, maybe, and it makes me happy and it's what I like. But I do wonder if in, a more, art-oriented family, if I would have gone a different route at all. So in that way, I guess, the culture did influence me a little bit. But at the same time, my sister, who grew up in the same house as me, she became a graphic designer, which is definitely a little, less STEMmy, and she makes twice as much money as I do right now. So, I mean, definitely just do what makes you happy and you'll find success.
Yeah, same with me. I definitely had that, like, it wasn't really my parents pressuring me, but more so kind of like the stereotypes, and then me kind of putting that pressure onto myself that like pushed me into more STEM and bio. My parents were pretty lenient. They never was like, oh, you have to be a doctor, you have to be a lawyer. But it was just like that internal pressure that I put onto myself. But yeah, so like I didn't have much exposure to like liberal arts or anything that's non-STEM. So I don't know. I don't know if my interest would lie there, but that is, I guess, something I could explore on my own free time. But yeah, my parents also had like no faith in me landing a job in this pandemic. So they're glad that I have something at least. But I would say biotech is on the rise, and I think this career path should be pretty stable. So fingers crossed.
Yeah, my parents were quite lenient as well. I think at some point they wanted me to like do art and stuff as well because they're like, "Oh, you might have talent in that area," and I was like, "Oh, but I don't really want to," and so that's why I ended up doing computer science or data science. Yeah, it was more of a it was like ultimately my decision. And though like I guess it does fit into the stereotype of what like all Asians do, I think it was really something that I'm interested in, and I didn't do it because like, oh, everybody else is doing it. I did it because I enjoy programming, and it's also coincidentally very lucrative. So.
Must be nice. I wish. Thank you guys again. So we're gonna be moving on to the open question and answer forum. This is gonna be from anyone to anyone. For example, if I can start off, this is a question that has been burning on my mind, and I've been meaning to ask you this for the longest time, Matt, but is it bad if we accept connection requests on LinkedIn from strangers? Like, how people, like just random people just add you on LinkedIn, and some people say that there's no harm in it, like it's just you're growing your network and everything, but then like you don't know them. So is it cool? Is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. What do you think?
So just to get this straight, they're sending you the request. They want to be your connection, right? Okay. If they're just sending it randomly, then it's totally okay to ignore them or even decline them. You don't owe it to them to accept it, right? Now, the best random connection requests that I've seen are the ones with a genuine message, like, hey, Matt, I was, maybe referred to you by so-and-so, or hey, I'm interested in applying to whatever role you have posted up for your company. You could take a look at my profile. That if they at least took the time to craft a message to go with that connection request, then I will, in return and out of respect, take the time to take a look at their profile, see if there's anything interesting. This is for me speaking as a recruiter, right? If there's anything worth, maybe they're a good fit for the role that I'm recruiting for. Now, if you're just minding your business, doing your thing, you can see you can check out their LinkedIn profile. There's a setting, in case anyone didn't know, you can turn off this. It'll, by default, LinkedIn will notify the person that you have viewed their profile, but you can go into the settings and you can turn off that feature, so you can take a look at anyone's profile without them getting notified. I think that should be the default setting, but whatever. It's up to you, really. Long story short, you don't have to accept their requests, especially if it's just a random connection request that they sent to you, because if they sent it to you, they probably sent a random connection request to everyone else as well. You don't know what their motive is. You don't know what they are trying to get out of that connection with you? Do you guys have any mutual connections, or is it just like completely none? If you guys have some mutual connections, I don't know, maybe. But if there's absolutely none out there, if they're a complete random, you can ignore them. You can even deny them. It doesn't matter.
Does anybody else have any other questions? I think Johnny said he had a question for someone.
Yeah, so I think going to STEM school, it's pretty rare to find people in like the arts. So for, like for Virisa, like I think it's rare to even meet someone that like does freelance photography at like such a high like profile level. You mentioned earlier like you do research for events, right? And you like that's how you like plan the events you work. Like I wanted to know like how do you get into those events? Like is it networking or is it like you're just so good that like people just know your name and like reach out to you? Like how does it work?
So since I am a freelancer, I do everything with my name, but I do have an agency where it's like a group of photographers. It's called BFA, and it's like we shoot all of the high profile red carpet events. So we've done like movie premieres, we've done award shows. And so for example, if I wanted to shoot something, for example, the Grammys, I would reach out to my agency and be like, hey, is it possible that I can shoot this? And then with other stuff like concerts, with that, it's like I can reach out to the venue, to the artists themselves, or the coordinators, like the label of whatever artists are playing that show. Yeah, but I would also say like my agency reaches out to me if they want me to cover a certain like red carpet. Like we've done The Lion King, we've done Frozen, BET Awards, things like that. So it's like a mix of using my own name and then using my agency's reputation as well.
And is it all right if I add to that as well, just because I've shot some events as well on my downtime? Johnny, to answer your question, I think it's a little bit of both, honestly. It really is who you know, but it is also really getting yourself out there. You know, who you know, like your connections, your referrals can put you on, maybe provide an opportunity to help them out with a certain shoot. They may refer you to an opportunity that they themselves may be unable to. That's happened to me plenty of times, you know, and because of that, I've been able to shoot for, you know, really reputable like DJs like Griffin, and so on and so forth. I almost shot for Midas as well, but also it's also putting yourself out there, as in, you know, if you are really passionate about what you shoot, then I think, you know, a lot of people, you know, they kind of start at the bottom, you know, they need to come up with a portfolio, right? A portfolio is basically like a resume for a creative. So you have to kind of put something on there. And in order to do that, you know, just offer services for free, show that you're really passionate about it. And then when they see that, you know, you really are putting in the effort and putting in the work, then from there, it'll just kind of go up. Correct me if I'm wrong, Virisa.
No, I was actually going to say that working for free is one of the ways to get into the industry as well, because a lot of the times people usually go with who they know, but then if you wanted to get your name out there, you can offer your services for free. Like, hey, like I'm interested in shooting this. I'm willing to do this many hours for free and I'll send you the photos. And if they like it, then they'll think of you for next time, and they'll think of like how hard you worked and the quality of the work that you produce, even though you were doing it without being compensated.
Exactly.
Yeah, thank you. That's very insightful. Appreciate it. I guess it's more of like a curiosity type question. Like, what's for each of you? Like, what's the coolest event you've ever like shot for?
I'll let Virisa start with this one.
I want to say this year was my first time being like at the Grammys, and I think that was like an amazing experience because you just see that on TV, or like, you know, you always see like red carpet pictures when celebrities post that kind of stuff, and to actually be there and feel the energy is like so incredible. The only thing is that of 2020, the one thing I can remember is like when all of the photographers are just waiting for a celebrity to walk down the carpet, we get that message about Kobe, and that was like the most like horrible thing that happened at that time. So, but I mean, overall, it was just a great opportunity. And I think when it comes to like festivals, I want to say EDC was probably the craziest festival I've ever shot. I didn't know that it goes until like 7 a.m. So I'm there working from 2 p.m. till 8 a.m. because we have to stay an hour later. And yeah, that's probably one of the craziest things I've ever done. I got sick last year because it was like super windy, super cold. And like there's times where I can't even take a break to go get lunch because someone's set is like delayed, and then like I have to wait there and make sure I shoot that. So it gets pretty crazy.
Yeah, that definitely sounds pretty crazy. I mean, I went to EDC just as an attendee, and it was already very, very draining. I can't even imagine as a photographer. Real quick, Versa, when you went to EDC, were you shooting for a specific DJ, or did you have like a certain stage that you had to shoot for all the DJs performing on that stage? Just out of personal curiosity.
I was actually shooting for Insomniac. So I am stationed at a stage. I think I got the Hard Summer stage or something like that. So I have to shoot every artist that's on that stage all 3 days. But I wanted to shoot other people at the same time. So with that, I had to like plan it out. Like, oh my gosh, Steve Aoki's gonna play at this stage. I gotta run over there, make sure I come back and do this. And it's like, it's honestly worth it because a lot of people, you know, they love attending this event. And that was my first time ever going to EDC as just like in general. Yeah. So
there you go. Nice. Well, I've not gotten to that level of EDC or Coachella yet. Hopefully one day. But I would say my favorite event to shoot was when I was able to help my buddy. And this is again, you know, who you know, your referral, your network. Your network is ultimately your net worth, is what I like to say. My buddy was able to help get me a spot to help him shoot Griffin at San Jose State. So for me to have gone to San Jose State as a student, go to San Jose State's events as a normal attendee, and then finally coming full circle, helping to shoot for these events, you know, as a photographer, videographer, that was very, very surreal to me. And it was just crazy being on the other side of the stage, seeing everything behind the scenes. And that was really my favorite event to shoot.
Yeah, thank you so much. If anyone else has any questions, like feel free to ask.
Yeah, I actually had one question. So this is for, I guess, Matt and Virisa. As people who spent some time in the real world after college, what advice would you give to others on how to put their best foot forward when it's their turn, but not just besides just getting a job?
It's a good question. Putting your best foot forward besides getting a job. Well, I would say you want to get something to, you know, pay the bills, you know, whether you're living back home with your parents or you're living on your own. I think, in my opinion, you do need something. It doesn't have to be necessarily the job you love right away, but just something to pay the bills and survive at least. Now, depending on where, you know, like everyone's graduation situation or circumstances are different. Some graduated with one or even multiple internships, or, you know, volunteer opportunities under their belt already. So they're kind of already set up for the real world. Others didn't really have that chance, didn't really have that opportunity, and kind of have to start from scratch. If you are the latter, if you need to start from scratch, then really take the time to figure out what you want to do. And to do that, you can, you know, watch YouTube videos, you can ask, reach out to people. And this kind of ties in with Lauren's question about LinkedIn as well. You know, reach out to people on LinkedIn in fields that are potentially interesting to you. Let's say you want to be an engineer, you want to be in the biotech field or UX design. Look for those people on LinkedIn, reach out to them with a genuine message asking, hey, you know, my name is so-and-so, I just graduated college. I would love if you could just, you know, if you have time, would love to just kind of learn more about your day-to-day because I kind of want to learn more about your field as a potential career path that I'm pursuing, right? And, you know, really, again, grow your network so that you can learn about these different opportunities if you're just kind of stuck on what you want to do. But if you do know what you want to do, great, even better. So study everything you can in that field that you want to do, and do what you can to get internship opportunities or volunteer opportunities. Shoot for free if you're trying to get into photo, video, you know, like Virisa. and just do what you can and talk to people already established in the field. Like, I guarantee you, a lot of people are willing to take their time out of the day to help someone kind of starting out and kind of help them succeed, really. Like, there's, you know, a lot of people are willing to take that time to kind of explain that to you. So do what you got to do, and then kind of just set your mind to it, and then it'll just go from there.
Yeah, that's a great answer, but I was talking more of like besides all the professional stuff.
Besides all the professional stuff, Virisa, what do you think? I think I'm just more on the professional side of things.
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Oh, so it was basically like how you adjust to life after college, and what advice do you have for people that are about to do that besides focusing on their professional life?
So, personal life, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like how to deal with being an adult, like.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
basically.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
I got
what
you.
I would want to say is there's a lot of pressure to, you know, you have to follow this whole, oh, I just graduated college, I need a job ASAP, this and that. I honestly took like a few months off just to like travel and do things for myself. And I feel like with your personal life, it's important to make sure you feel good with yourself and you feel like your mental is there, like you're taking care of yourself, because it's always like school, like for how many years that we've been in school, you know what I mean? So after that, I feel like it's important to just take time and just learn more about yourself, learn more about you, what you like to do. Maybe if you don't know what you want to do yet, that's why you would go out and try different things, as Matt was saying, like, you know, you can try a career that makes some money for you for a while, and then figure out what you want to do while you're in that career. And then I would also say, like, get out there and go on a hike, go do some nature things, go travel. I think it's important. I know we can't do that right now because of this whole thing, but yeah, don't forget to focus on yourself.
Yeah, and just to add to that, Raj, like, when it comes to the personal part, don't feel pressure to find a job just because you feel like you have to, you feel like you're obligated to, or everyone is telling you to. At the end of the day, it's, you know, it's on you. It's your, like Virisa was saying, it's your mental health, your physical well-being comes first. You decide when you're ready to make that next step.
All right, thanks.
Another question I have for you guys, and this can be for any of the speakers. How do you guys deal with rejection? Or like, where do you find your motivation to like keep on going? Because I'm sensitive, bro.
Oh man. Do you mean like rejections like from companies when you interview with them, or like in the dating world? Or now I need to clarify between professional and personal.
I say companies, like dating world also hurts, but it's a different kind of hurt. But I say companies and internships, like that kind of things. Like, you know, like when you have been working really hard and you've maybe gone through like a couple rounds and they're just like, oh, you're just not the right fit for us. Like, how do you guys find the motivation to like just take it and just keep on moving forward?
I know for me, and it's a lot easier said than done, but you know, the rejections, the first few are definitely going to hurt no matter what, right? But after a while, at least for me, it just became like, oh, you know what, just another rejection, what's new type of thing. It kind of makes you feel jaded, but then I learned to kind of shift that mindset and that mentality, and don't look at it as just a rejection, but look at it as also as a learning opportunity. What did you learn from that, you know, from that rejection? Maybe if possible, try to ask for feedback so that you can better improve yourself. And I'll tell you now, from a recruiter's perspective, a lot of recruiters and companies are kind of hesitant on giving very detailed feedback because some people can kind of take it the wrong way. And then if they take it the wrong way, there could be all sorts of like legal issues or lawsuits happening. So they're pretty ambiguous, but I think a lot more recruiters now are, especially if you made it to the final rounds, then they at least owe you a little bit more of a detailed explanation and a little bit more detailed feedback on why you didn't make it versus maybe the other person who got the job. But look at it as a learning opportunity. Try to see what you did wrong. And if something is not if you're trying one approach and it's not working, try switching it up a little bit. Maybe switch up your wording, switch up your style, switch up the way you kind of approach a certain question. I'm more than happy to, kind of help anyone out with any interviewing tips and things like that. But look at it as a learning opportunity. Like for me, I made 5 final rounds before I got my first job, and then when I moved to the next job, it was also four rejections, final round rejections that I got before I finally landed it. And also just accept and understand that rejection is normal. Like you probably will get rejected. Like I'm sorry, Lauren. You probably everyone gets rejected. There's very, very few people who get it on the first try. But look at it as a learning opportunity, and just it makes you more humble.
My motto is drink some wine, it's gonna be fine.
I just bought it like right at the grocery store like 5 minutes ago.
Girl. No, but really just like don't take things personal, It's like what I like to think about it is if I get a rejection, maybe the timing wasn't right for me, and maybe I can use that time for something else to shift my focus. Okay, well, if I didn't get that, what else can I do right now? That there's opportunities everywhere. You can create an opportunity for yourself as well. So I just want to say, like, don't let that get to you in a way where like, oh, like I know you've been working hard, but there's somewhere out there that you won't fit right in. And I feel like asking for what you want is not a problem. For example, like if I asked somebody to shoot something and they said, no, we're actually not interested this time, I just think about it as like, well, at least I took the chance to ask. At least I tried. And so that's what I would say.
I would definitely agree with don't take it personally. I think that's probably the biggest thing. Like these recruiters, these companies, they do this every day, and they get hundreds of people through their door, and they have to reject some of them, even if it is the final round. It happens. Like don't take it personally. And definitely the learning experience thing is a big thing. Take some time, reflect on your process, think about what it was that you could have done better, what it was you could improve on. Like actually take time to do that, sit down and look over your notes from the interview, whatever it is, and like actually try to improve on each interview experience. And I think the last kind of thing is, there are a lot of jobs out there at a lot of different companies. Like the hardest rejections I've ever taken were the ones that were at companies where I was like, wow, this is my dream job. I want this so bad. And you get rejected and you're like, okay, I guess, like my life sucks now. I didn't get my dream job. But, there are probably 10 other jobs just like that, on LinkedIn, on Indeed, on whatever it is you use. Just go out, usually you learn from this experience and apply it to your next one. And eventually you will get something. Just keep at it.
Yeah, no, I think they all hit it right on the head. Just don't take it personal, and then I would say use it kind of as just like a practice round for like the one that will take you.
Yeah, I think it's important to get used to just being rejected all the time. Like back to my first year experiences, I got rejected so many times, but maybe stronger the next year. So
Yeah, I actually wanted to add something real quick. My friend has always wanted to be a host, like a DJ host on the radio show. And she did tell me one time, like, it took her 10 years to get there. Like, just imagine how many rejections that is. So that kind of like inspired me and motivated me. Like, my goals, it might not take a year or two, it might take 10 years, and that's totally fine. Like, it's not about how fast you get there, it's your journey.
Yeah, those are great answers, guys. I guess I have like one last question for Matt. As a person in recruiting and HR, like out of my curiosity, has like the approach to recruiting changed since the pandemic started? Like, for example, have like the skills and traits that you look for in a candidate like changed because of that?
Not necessarily, but I'm speaking from my personal experience. Recruiters at other companies, they might have a different answer, but for me, you know, we look for the same skill sets and opportunities in people as if, you know, there was never a pandemic. If it's either they either have the skills we're looking for or they don't. A lot of people though we did hire someone who initially was in a different industry. So he was a kind of like a director of sales in the hotel industry, but he was really trying to get into the cloud software industry, which is what my company is. And he just made himself kind of stand out above the rest by having like a really kick-ass, you know, cover letter or resume. He actually sent in a video cover letter kind of selling himself. So the hiring manager was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. You know, like maybe we should talk with the guy. At least like he took the time to do all this. He at least, you know, should get a conversation with us. So maybe but that's really more for people kind of trying to get into industries or roles that you know, that they're trying to break into. But really, that person was just kind of took an extra step to stand out. But really, going back to the question, in terms of skills and everything that we're looking for, not necessarily so much pre-pandemic versus, you know, during right now.
Y'all got any other questions? Do you guys have any questions for us? Maybe like to the speakers. Are you guys curious about like what's going on now, or like what people are interested in now? I don't know. This is an open forum.
Yeah, I was actually curious. Are you guys doing classes on Zoom right now?
Unfortunately, there are actually a couple of classes that are in person. They're discussion classes, I believe. If the classes have 20 people or more, or sorry, 20 people or less, then they do meet in person. I believe there are a couple of labs that people still have to go to in person as well, but the majority of the classes are over Zoom. Sucks.
How has that been working for you guys?
It hasn't. I mean, for my personal experience, I don't know if anyone else wants to chime in, but I honestly feel like I really am not learning as much as I could be in person. I'm definitely not as focused. There's a lot more distractions just in terms of your work environment, and also because as college students, when you do go to school far away, you tend to be living with other college students. So when all four of, like, I live with 3 other people, when all 4 of us have classes all at the same time, you hear other people's conversations, you're worried that they can hear you. Just environment, first of all, and just the professors, you can also tell how they struggle with it as well, learning the technology, and then changing their class structures and courses to fit an online model, especially for, I know the STEM classes are a lot more hands-on, so it's more difficult for them to transition to online, but it's still so many changes happening even to.
If you guys miss a class, is there an option to watch a Zoom later, or does your professor just force you to, you gotta be here?
I don't know if everyone else's classes are like this. Actually, all of my teachers do record it, and you can watch them later. And I don't know if everyone else knows this, but on Canvas, they can actually check if you've watched a video or a lecture on there or not, and how many times and for how long. So they know whether or not you've watched the whole lecture or not. And yeah, so just in case anyone else didn't know, my professor actually told me this. So just be careful of that. And I forgot the original question. Yeah, so you can watch it after. Some professors don't require attendance. I do have a professor where it says, like, if you are going to miss more than one class, do email them so that they know. Otherwise, they're going to reach out to you and be like, why aren't you coming to class? So they still do expect you to be there during that period of time. but a lot of students kind of get away with it by turning off their video. So, and I kind of do that too. Like maybe I'll be listening to a lecture while cooking dinner or something because it's like you're hungry, you know, like you can go for it and they don't know. So I don't know if anyone else's classes are like that though. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I definitely resonate with, like, basically everything you said. Like my professors, like most of them don't really care. They just like read off their slides, which some of them just do like if class is normal anyway. But like I guess like to be lenient, like they make it so it's like asynchronous, so like you don't have to be like watching the lecture like as it's happening. But like for one class at least, like we have exams, right, where the professor is like he's firm on like you can either take the exam at like 8 a.m. or 8 p.m. Like that's 2 times in one time frame, like relative to where you are, right? Which is I guess more lenient, but still kind of rough. I feel like someone still getting like screwed over in that process.
Did they give any like timeline updates on maybe when you guys would probably be going back to school at all? Like, I don't know, middle of next year or something like that, or?
I feel like they don't really give positive news. It's like I think some other UCs are like, oh, now winter is like online for sure. It's like it's like you're just hoping that like it'll stop somewhere. But yeah, that's all I've been hearing.
Colleen just told us actually that USC, their spring semester is for sure going to be online now, correct? And I believe UCI has also said that winter quarter is going to be online. So there's those. And I'm pretty sure the other schools will be following soon. Alrighty. Well, if there's any other questions, like any other questions at all, don't be afraid to ask you guys because they are allowed to decline them. So don't be afraid. Alrighty. Well, if we want to close up and wrap up, I think Julia is going to be doing our closing remarks for today.
Hi, everybody. My name is Julia, and I'm CASA Social Chair, and I just have some closing comments. So first, thank you so much to our 5 speakers for coming to talk to us tonight. Matt, Virisa, Alex, Stacia, and Kenny. We really appreciate you guys taking the time to talk to us tonight, and your insight was super informative. And also thank you to all of our board and general members who attended. I hope that this was an engaging and informative event for you all. And we also have some other super cool events coming up, so please follow us on our Facebook and Instagram account. That's all I got.
Right. Thank you so much. Yeah, so I'll end the recording here. But yeah, to our 2 guests, Matt and Virisa, thank you so much for coming.
Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you for having us.